In other words, dictate to me how I perceive you. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just driving through monochrome heaven, so I guess I don't have to keep my hands on the wheel. This is going to be a very brief talk about personal pronouns. My personal pronouns are, or just the little, series of /separated pronouns in someone's bio or signature in their email or their profile on LinkedIn or God knows what. Anywhere that they put it. But especially annoying being my personal pronouns are, and then you're expected to use these preferred, personal, whatever pronouns whenever talking to the individual. Oh, look, somehow monochrome world got darker. This stuff is really annoying to me for one very simple reason. I mean, ignoring all of the other political nonsense that goes along with this notion of personal, preferred pronouns. The thing that bugs me the most is that that's not what a pronoun is. A pronoun is not something that you use as part of your identity. It's not somehow a way that you get to identify yourself. It is not the articles of clothes that you choose to wear. It's not a fashion statement. It's not it's not any component of you. A pronoun is how I, or whoever else interacts with you, perceives you. Nobody uses pronouns to refer to themselves unless they're psychotic. If I'm talking about myself as a he, he did this, he did that. Why am I talking about myself in the third person? This is the hallmark of some sort of weirdo or snob. People who talk about themselves in the third person, unironically, are basically cancer. Or have just smelled enough. Yeah, nope, that goes back to cancer too. So pronouns are not something that you get to tell other people to use. It's really annoying to me because even though a lot of it is starting to fade in significant usage and obviously relevance, it's still in my face in a number of ways, and I have in fact refused to communicate with or do business with certain people simply because they chose to put preferred pronouns on things or in their bios or whatever. One of the more annoying and very publicly available uses of this preferred pronoun trend that really needs to die a long time ago, would be the extremely famous Good Mythical Morning, which at some point, now I know they're in California, I know that they're all probably pretty far left, but it's really obnoxious when they put up all of these preferred pronouns with the little name cards that the graphics people slap on screen. X person, Y person, Z person, and it'll always have their name and then perhaps their profession or their handle on Twitter or whatever it is, and then their pronouns. And you know what I noticed one day? When they were doing the show and they had like 7 people on the screen or 8 people on the screen, every single person that had a so-called preferred pronoun posted underneath it, they matched up with what I would naturally assume of them. Except for one. The guys that run the show, for some reason, the guys, their pronouns are he and him. Now, where they came up with that, for men, who knows? That's wild. But then the other guys on the show also are he, him. Oh, wait, and all the girls on the show were she, her. This is amazing. Somehow the stars have aligned such that these people have picked pronouns that they get to dictate to other people how to talk to them that just happen to match up with naturally what they obviously are. Except for one. The most lesbian there, the most obvious and directly, very clearly and will not hesitate to make sure you know it, lesbian there, she, they. Really not evading the whole they, them thing there with that, are you, girly? So it's just so interesting to me that it keeps getting darker, but also that somehow on this heavy left-leaning show that tries not to get too deep into politics most of the time, thus, trying to not lose audiences like me that finds this stuff completely retarded, somehow they still all manage to land on so-called preferred personal pronouns that match what they not only are clearly, but that I can see and easily identify what they are. Now, if I can look at everybody and determine what they probably are without having to do any extra work, if it's just there, I can figure it out myself by observation, simple observation. At that point, we have to ask ourselves, what really is the point of this? If it's something I can figure out without having to be told expressly, manually dictated to, if it's something that I can just automatically recognize, hey, that man is a man, and we use words like he and him to refer to man people. Well, look at where the one exception is. It's in the most in-your-face, most radical, most political, non-heterosexual person on the crew that comes out and you see regularly. That one person has a different, and even then, still a she, but somehow they, and that reeks of politics. This kind of goes along with the whole notion of being queer or non-binary. These are also not gendered things. They're political things. They have nothing to do with who you are so much as who you want other people to perceive you as, and they are political rather than being about your nature. So the whole thing is just absurd. I don't have to call you what you say I have to call you. If I do so out of respect, you are making a horrific mistake when you take that respectful modification of my own speech to avoid having to get in some sort of stupid argument with you as some sort of validation of your political agenda. But that's the problem. The whole notion of being able to specify your preferred personal pronouns, in other words, dictate to me how I perceive you, that is in and of itself authoritarian and evil. That is something that I will not just stand by and go, oh, okay, I'll let you tell me how I'm allowed to think. Because that's ultimately what it is. It's a form of thought control. And I'm not going to have a bunch of thoughts tell me how to control my thoughts. You don't get to choose how I perceive you. That is the takeaway. Thanks for listening. Now, back to your regularly scheduled misery.